How's everybody?
Good. How are you doing?
Sure you have some kickoff return questions.
What was your initial
Whatever you guys have.
what was your initial reaction to the evolution of it?
Yeah, kind of the off season when you get the news, it's a lot of anxiety because what you're looking at is the only thing you really have to look at is the XFL, and it's different too than that. So you really try to do as much as you can until the players got here, is because before it was all in my brain, and one thing would go to another, and then all of a sudden I think it's about here now for me, in terms of once we get the fundamentals together, once we ask the players to communicate with us, talk to us, what do you see, and once we kind of broke it down that way to get to, I think, some fundamentals that will stick in terms of how to get there, and now we have to see where it goes, because it's different, that's for sure.
How much XFL tape did you watch?
A ton, and the difference there is they're on the 35-yard line, and there's just 10 across with one returner. So even 5 yards in the spacing and timing, it's just really different, and it's really, really fast. So you can kind of pull off years past, but the spacing and timing, and like George, for instance, for us, Odom, he was so skilled at speed, number one, and then weaving down the field to put him in position as it's developing. So I think everyone that sees it for the first time, it's really strange because you see the kickoff, and I'm standing right here, and it's just like it's like you're in space. You never see that happen without everyone moving, and so it's really like the music went off. I was like in the twilight zone, and then when it happens, it's really fast. So getting used to all that for the players, and it's going to continue to evolve. So
how much and in what ways has it kind of changed how you view what you're looking for in a returner specifically?
Well, and that's where I think you have to start. It's all about the ball, and so that's where we always start. So you always try to anticipate what kickers are going to do, and it could be anywhere. So that's where we start preparing. So is it going to be like a shortstop? Is it what type of fielding balls are you going to get? What type of guys are there, and then what type of runners are there? I mean, is it going to be better to have a bigger back where you can break through the arm tackles because everyone's going to be engaged? Is it going to be a quicker guy? But it all starts with the football. So that's where you build everything from, and really trying to figure out where they're going to kick it.
So it sounds like you're still figuring it out.
Oh, everyone's still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Like the way I feel about it now, again, that's the best way I can explain it in my mind. It was here in my mind with all the things that could go on. And you wanted to try to get some base fundamentals that you think you could, just from geometry, basically. And so you put all those in, and then once you see with the players, okay, now at least we have a starting point where I think we can get it pretty close to the fundamentals to get in position to make the block. And then we're going to see how it all evolves. So I feel good where we're at right now. And again, there's 31 coaches like me that don't know exactly if we're on the right track, what it's going to look like. So more than anything, it's going to be adjusting. And so right now I feel good, kind of finally with the players and getting their input and working through it all. But that's going to be, it's exciting. I mean, I'm fired up. This is the coolest thing to happen in terms of in my coaching career, because what are you going to do? You have a great opportunity to do something that's never been done before. So it's a race to figure it out, and it's going to be constantly adjusting.
As far as the returns, are you at an advantage because 49ers use an offensive line? Their offensive linemen are often a little bit, faster, better on their feet than maybe a typical one, just the way that they do the zone blocking scheme?
I think it's easier way to explain it is all the kickoff return teams have the advantage. Every kickoff return team, just from the way the kickoff team is set up. If you think about it, we're on the 40-yard line with the same width we were when we were way back at the 35. So backside, almost geometry. I'm not very good at math, but those guys are almost eliminated just by alignment, if that makes sense. So where it turns into, that's what everyone tries to figure out. So all the fundamentals are there, but then the body types that are on there, we just got to see what works. And we have our plan kind of going into it, but I think you just got to be ready to adjust however it looks.
How abstract did you get? Like, did you do wargaming? Like, were you looking at simulations? I mean, how did you, process all these possibilities over the summer?
I think I just relied on what I've always relied on in coaching, and it's let's break it down to the simplest form and let me get started. And that to me is fundamentals. And so I knew we had only 5 yards or 10 yards instead of 25. So when guys used to do kickoff return, They used to have time to move, process where the ball is lined up, how high it is, where the returner is. We used to give them landmarks from 32-yard line, you're going to execute block, the 30, the 27. And that was all done by who we were blocking. So the speed of the guys coming down, so that's all out. And you have to process all of that it happens like that, because then everyone's moving. So if you're out of position in that and your footwork's wrong or your fundamentals aren't there, it's just chaos. So that's how I simplified it in my mind. And once we kind of thought what we wanted to do, the players really helped in terms of their input. And then when you could actually work it, you could actually see what it's going to look like. It's like, okay, we can't do this. This is what we're going to look into. So
Was there
Can we figure it out, will training camp practices have enough contact involved to be able to do that, or is this something that is gonna last into the preseason and?
I think you're going through the whole season. I mean, to me, if you don't look at this like a totally different play than anything we've coached, I think you're going to be playing catch up. So I'm trying to, and it's just like you said, the speed of contact. Like last year, those guys are running full speed, and there's a lot of things that happen in terms of what they can and can't do just by how fast they're running. That's out too now. So all those things you have to figure out how it works when it's alive, and we won't know until the first preseason, like when it's live.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it interesting.
How much do you have to study the other 31 teams just to see? Obviously, everyone's doing it a little bit differently, just to see. Oh man, wow, these guys.
A ridiculous amount, and we do that every week anyway. But this is all it is. It's you have to figure it out, and I think it's going to be so impactful if you don't. I mean, we're talking touchdowns, we're talking average start at the 40, we're talking long field goals, more scoring, all that's going to affect it.
You have a
Was
lot
it-
of different kinds of return guys. And just who sits atop the depth chart right now, and is there anybody that you trust the most right now in that spot?
The first thing I like that you said is you have a lot of returners, and that's I love that right now. So we're getting them as much as we can, and we'll continue to do that. So we have a lot of guys back there, a lot of new guys back there, and I love it. Just the competition. So all of that is gonna evolve with the way I see it.
There must be other special team coordinators that you talked to. Was there kind of a lot of talk when it first came out, and now everybody's kind of secretive, trying to figure out their own process, or was there?
Well, we had Zoom meetings with all of us,
Uh-huh.
so the communication has been great that way.
Mhm.
But I think everyone's kind of holding on to their stuff. I don't talk to a whole lot of guys. I talked to a couple guys I'm close to, and we've kind of skirted around it. So
Yeah.
I don't think that it's a whole lot of sharing going on, and that's what it is. You got to figure it out. But that's to your question. That's why every single week, that's all we're going to do is study to see what you can eliminate, what you can add, what looks good, and what fits into what we're already doing.
I got two Jake Moody questions. One is on the kickoffs with like how important is his placement ability? And then two, looking back to last year, was there a common thread in his misses over the last 4 games that you coach up with him this offseason?
Yeah. First of all, so the kickoff question. That's what nobody knows. What is it going to look like? The first thing I think, if you just get a normal kickoff ball, that all advantages are for the kickoff return team, all of them. The only advantage at kickoff team, really, because of the spacing and where you're at a kickoff team, you're eliminating half the guys in a lot of things. So the only advantage for a kickoff team is to have a kicker that can move it around and get the returner off balance instead of a nice clean catch and going. That happens way faster than it used to. So the way we're approaching it is we're prepared for all. We need, again, starting with the ball.
Right.
We need to prepare them for everything.
And then
Second question, Jake. Yeah, it was really cool going through the whole season with Jake.
Yeah.
You know, to get Jake away and have him process it through the film, and really I asked him to do it. What was going on in the week? What was going on in your life? You know, what happened? Put it all together on your own. And then we came back, with Pepper and Mitch and all the coaches, and it was really cool just to process it all. Mitch has been a great mentor to him, and when we get through it, 3 things really came out that were really clear. Number one, it was a tremendous learning experience. He had so many things come up, game situation, all those things. And when you're talking about a rookie, you try to prepare him the best you can, and just things happen when you play the game. So number one, the lessons that he learned and the situation was wonderful for him to set a base. The second thing that really stood out, he always responded to adversity, which to me is that's what kickers have to be. And we're trying to close down the adversity, but that's what is impressed with me late in the season too, and even the Super Bowl. And that's like leading up to everything, all rookies, that first year is hard. And when you take a kicker, he finished his season, he goes right to working out, he goes right to the combine, he has individual workouts, his leg is shot, he comes right to here. So monitoring how much we kick and always paranoid that you're not getting enough is a fine line. So you walk that dance all year. But and ultimately he's built for this. And I say that because of the Super Bowl. He was so fired up in that game, so excited. I mean, that stage he excelled on. And, you know, he had the 55 record right off the bat. That was broken. And we missed an extra point in there, which was really affected the game.
Yeah.
But to see him come back and with a minute 57, hit that, I think it was a 53-yarder. And when you look, that was his best kick of the year. So to me, I know exactly who he is because I'm around him every day. And I think the more opportunities everyone has, they'll see it too.
What exactly did go wrong on that extra point?
This is the way I always approach everything. It first starts with me, and I always take everything. Then it starts with Pep. How clean was he? Then it goes to Mitch. How clean was he? Then it goes to Jake. How clean was he? Then it goes to all our protectors. And there's many times throughout a year that someone doing their job really good covers up for someone else. So that's always the way we do it. And Jake owns that as a low kick. And all the factors that happen, that's what happens. And the game of football, adversity strikes by our own doing or by something outside of us. So it's always the way we respond. And that's what Jake consistently shows.
That's good.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.